What's up, dudes? So, I'm sure by now it's old news and everything like that, but, the whole thing with the iPhone 7 removing the headphone jack. Now, speaking as an audiophile, this is something that I feel kind of strongly about, and I've been meaning to talk about this for a little while. So, without further ado, let's just fucking get started. So let's get things started. What's the big deal here? What are we talking about? Basically what happened, for those of you who are not aware, and I'm assuming you've been living under a goddamn rock if you haven't heard about this by now, but Apple removed the 3.5mm headphone jack from the iPhone 7 in favor of leaving it with one port at the bottom of it, their proprietary Lightning jack. Now, this has been given all sorts of reasons why this is the case and how it's good for the customer and it's good for audio. It sounds better. It's digital audio that the 3.5mm jack is just this outdated, archaic technology that nobody uses anymore. And it's going to aid in you, the consumer. It's going to be more convenient and it's a slimmer form factor because all that unnecessary hardware, it just makes the phone all big and fat and unwieldy. And now, thanks to Apple having, as they put it, the courage to get rid of that jack, now we can enjoy perfect, pure audio in a slimmer phone, and it's going to be better for anybody. This is bullshit. I don't know how else to say it. It's fucking bullshit. It's not true. There is no way to construe any of that as being accurate. And in my normal, typically terse and not at all long-winded fashion, I am going to explain why. Okay, in order to get a good grip on what's actually happening here, I need to give you an exceptionally simplified version of how digital audio works. Now, what I'm about to say here doesn't apply to things like cassettes, vinyl, or AM/FM radio, which any of you kids watching now probably don't know what they are, but that's what old fuckers used to listen to back before the music industry kind of got its shit together. So anytime you're listening to digital audio, you have to realize that what it has to do is convert the MP3 file or the FLAC file or whatever that you're listening to into something that can make a speaker diaphragm move back and forth. Now, this means that any chain of audio, and I'm really simplifying this for the purposes of this video, consists of four main parts, and they are the source itself, the digital to analog converter, an amplifier, and finally the speakers. Anytime you're listening to digital audio, whether it's Spotify, Pandora, even if it's a CD actually, because that actually reads ones and zeros off of the disc, if it is an MP3, whatever it is, if you're listening to digital audio, this is how it's going. Okay, so we start with the source. Now this is going to be either a CD player or a hi-fi head unit or your car's inboard dash player or most likely your phone MP3 player or what have you. This sends all those little ones and zeros down into the DAC. The DAC takes all those little ones and zeros and converts them into an analog signal. The analog signal is then sent to the amplifier, which gives it enough extra boost that can actually make a speaker move back and forth. Now, literally anytime you're listening to something, those four elements are there. Even if you're listening to music on the phone itself, that's what's happening. Otherwise, you're just sitting there with a bunch of ones and zeros and your speakers are sitting there going, I don't know what the fuck this is, man. I can't do shit with it. So like I said, anytime you're listening to digital audio, these four elements are involved. Whenever you're listening to something that you just plug headphones straight into, whether it's a laptop, desktop, MP3 player, whatever else, the first three elements of it are all fused together into the device, usually on the motherboard and what have you. Robust desktop setups will split them up. That way you have a little more fine-tuned control. You can individually, change the elements and whatnot. But that is usually how it goes. And obviously each one of these can have some effect on the sound. Obviously, different headphones and different speakers can sound differently. An amplifier's method and power can change the characteristics of the sound. The way the DAC interprets the ones and zeros as an analog signal can change it. Even the source can have some effect on it. If you've had like a laptop or whatever with like Beats enabled, that can make a big difference. So this is essentially the chain O command. But the point is, you can see all the elements of it, and they can all have some sort of an effect on the sound. So now that we understand sort of the chain of command with sound, we need to talk about what removing the headphone jack actually does. And this is where Apple's bullshit "we're helping you" claim comes in. Because what you're going to see them say a lot, and a lot of people who are agreeing with this, is the idea of, well, it's because it's a lightning cable, it's just a pure digital signal. It cleans up the audio. There's not that old archaic analog cable that can degrade and be shitty and everything. And this is going to sound so much better because it's pure hi-fi digital. Because no matter what, if you have a digital file, it has to be converted to an analog signal or else your headphones aren't going to move. This is basic shit. Like, you can't have sound if you're just a digital signal. So it doesn't matter how nice your cool-ass lightning cable is. It still has to convert all the shit. But now, instead of having a convenient single piece of hardware, now it has to be done in headphones. So why is that a big deal? Like, you might be thinking to yourself, well, that sounds like kind of a good idea, doesn't it? Because if cables can be an issue, at least in terms of connection quality, wouldn't it make sense then to have a digital connection between the device and the speakers, and then have all the conversion and everything fused onto the device itself? I can see where you would come up with that. I can understand your point. Unfortunately, it's fucking wrong. Like, I don't really have any other way to say that, and here's why. All right, what I've got here, this is an AudioQuest Dragonfly Red. This is one of the smallest digital to analog converters that you can buy. I mean, yeah, it's small, but the thing is, if you had to cram all this stuff into a phone, it's going to take up some space. And in fact, that was the whole reason that Apple claimed that they were doing this in the first place, was to save space in the phone, because they said space is premium, which means this shit takes up room. But now they're saying it's totally okay to put it in the headphones. So apparently headphones can be big and clunky, and the pictures of those stupid AirPods are just... But they're not cheap. Which means if you are going to make headphones, wired headphones, that work with the iPhone, you're going to have to put at least mildly expensive hardware into every single pair of headphones that you own. Like, remember back in the day, you could go to like Walmart and pick up $5 headphones because it didn't fucking matter because they were just speakers that plugged into your phone? Well, those are gone now. If you have an iPhone 7, every single pair of headphones that you are going to own has to cram this circuitry inside them. All of them. And that means every pair of headphones you own is going to be at the whims and at the mercy of whatever hardware company made them. So let's do it like this. Imagine for a moment, once again, I'm going to refer to my little 4-part chain right here, but I'm going to expand it slightly. And I'm now going to think of it as sort of a tree of sorts, because if you're someone like me, you have more than one pair of headphones. You may not be an idiot like me that goes through headphones, you know, like people go through, like, you know, like whatever. But, you know, you have more than one. Most people have more than one pair of headphones. So normally it would work like this. You had your source, you had your DAC, you had your amp, and then you had all these headphones. Well, now look how it has to work for all the headphones and shit that you have. Oh! So maybe you're hearing all this and you're thinking, hey, SGD, what's the big fucking deal, man? I don't even use wired headphones. I like Bluetooth. Okay, let's talk Bluetooth for a moment. See, here's the thing with Bluetooth. Although it's serviceable, and Bluetooth 4.0 is certainly an upgrade over previous versions, Bluetooth is still shit compared to wired. It is convenience, and that's all. It's good for convenience's sake. But if you have $100 to spend on headphones, let's say $50 you have to spend on headphones. $50 if you want to get headphones, especially like travel headphones, which are probably what you're going to be plugging into an iPhone. $50 can actually do you pretty well. You can get a solid ass pair of headphones for $50. For $50, if you want a pair of Bluetooth headphones, you are getting garbage. Just garbage, because the hardware necessary to make Bluetooth into headphones is not cheap. And once again, even then, you still need the DAC and amp, because now instead of being able to use a convenient cable, you're using a receiver. and the receiver has to take the signal it got from Bluetooth, which isn't just radio, it's fucking digital, has to take that, convert it to analog, amplify it, and then power the speakers. And that's not even to talk about the fact that you can't charge and listen to headphones at the same time. That was always a big thing for me. You know, I'm lying in bed, I plug in my phone, throw in my headphones, and I can just veg all night. You know, maybe I want to plug them into my speakers and drift off into the night. Well, if you want to do that, now they have a breakout thing that you can use. So now imagine for a moment, you have a shiny new iPhone 7 and you want to listen to some music with your old headphones and plug and charge the thing. You know what you got to do? You got to get the double splitter, put the Lightning to 3.5 dongle into that, and then plug your headphones into that. And I'm not even going to get into the problems I have with the fact that in order to use the Bluetooth headphones, you have to pair those things up with an Apple account. Your headphones have to have an account. So let's use this from the perspective of someone who has no problem with this, who thinks it's not an issue, and then maybe somehow buys into the idea of this being better. So they buy a shiny new iPhone 7, and let's use a really boutique headphone product, the Audeze EL8. These are $700 headphones that do in fact have a lightning cable on them. And the Audeze is a brand I really like, and I even very briefly auditioned the EL8s, and I thought they were awesome. So you got your shiny new, your $700 headphones, and you're listening to them, and everything's great. Let's say a year or so goes by, and you think to yourself, all right, you know what, these aren't bad, but I'm kind of tired of... I'm tired of an iPhone. I'd kind of prefer to have an Android this go around. Well, tough shit, dude. Now your headphones can't connect to your fucking phone because it has the wrong cable. This isn't something that has ever been an issue. The 3.5 millimeter aux jack or the 6.5 millimeter has been industry standard for an ungodly amount of time. And this is somehow packaged as anything besides a blatant fucking cash grab by a greedy company. Here's look at brands like Sennheiser, like Fostex, Hi-Fiman, the aforementioned Audeze, Beyerdynamic. Like, look at these big giant companies. There are companies that make headphones that make anything Apple will ever produce look like complete and utter chump change. You know, JDS Labs. These guys make $5,000 headphones, amplifiers that cost 10 grand. Sennheiser has a $100,000 headphone system. And do you know what cable it uses to connect the headphones to the amp? A fucking aux cable. Do you know why that is? Because there's nothing wrong with an aux cable. If Apple was right, and this was some sort of new frontier of amazing analog or digital audio quality, one of these companies would have noticed it by now. See, this isn't like the transition from USB 1 to USB 2 to FireWire to USB 3 to Lightning. Those were digital protocols, which meant they had a cap on how fast they could transmit data. And each new one has a faster, it has a faster cap. It has better bandwidth. It transmits more. It can do more. You get into these new USB-C, Lightning, they can do more than just transmit data. They can actually charge, they can do video. But an analog audio jack is fine because it's an analog signal that actually comes out of the speakers. All right, so if you got nothing from this, I want to impress upon you, please don't buy into this shit, all right? This is compartmentalizing, this is fracturing peripherals and products for the consumer. Because now when you go shopping for headphones, you're going to have to find Apple headphones. You can't just buy headphones anymore. Now you need to find headphones that work with iPhones. And if you buy headphones that work with iPhones, it means they're not going to work with not iPhones. Like, this is so blatantly fucking transparent, it's driving me crazy, and I'm sorry I'm extra animated right now, but I've been thinking a lot about this, and I get amped about audio. I don't know how anybody buys into this whenever they see it. It blows my mind that anybody would see this and actually think there's a benefit to the consumer. The only way there's a benefit to the consumer, and I'll admit this, that nominally there's an idea that having the analog wire eliminated because everything's fused into the headphones, that works If you only ever plan on having one pair of headphones for your entire life, and you will only ever own Apple products. If that's a situation you find yourself in, well then more power to you. Go for it. But you better hope that the iPhone 8 doesn't use the Lightning 2 cable, which doesn't fucking work. So that's it for now. I will catch you fairly soon. Till then, see you next time, dudes.